Welcome to the big show, everyone. Wow. I mean, we knew they were bad. We thought they were bad. We reported right here on this show over the years on what might have been going down. But what I suspect is going to come out is just going to blow your mind. Okay, because it's worse than maybe you could have ever anticipated. Now, we have new allegations that the FBI is looking into at this moment into a so-called honey trap. Yeah, a honey trap to try and ensnare the president going all the way back to 2016. If these allegations are true, it would suggest that the administration in charge, that would be one Barack Obama, was actually working overtime with the help of the FBI, with the help of James Comey, to try to take down the opposition. I mean, this is a bombshell allegation, a whistleblower coming forward. We're just learning of this, and guess what? The FBI is like, we're all in. We're going to investigate this because they get Cash now and they get Dan, and they're going to follow this one through. So again, a whistleblower coming forward, and just to put this in perspective, this would have been back in 2015 into 16, and this is separate from the wiretapping, okay? This is separate from getting a FISA warrant on Carter Page. We have so much more on this story today. We're going to dig in, and I mean, we're really digging in. Meanwhile, Trump is revoking security clearance, high time, shall we say, for one Jack Smith. And when he was challenged on this, he's like, don't you even dare. You want to know what I've been through for the last 4 years? We're going to get into that. I'm going to play those clips for you. Oh, and then there's Rachel Maddow. It seems that she's losing all her producers. They're firing them left and right. Rachel, the handwriting's on the wall. Maybe they didn't like this.
Colleague here at MSNBC, and personally, I think it is a bad mistake to let her walk out the door. It is not my call, and I understand that, but that's what I think. I will tell you, it is also unnerving to see that on a network where we've got two non-white hosts in primetime, both of our non-white hosts in primetime are losing their shows, as is Katie Fang on the weekend. And that feels worse than bad, no matter who replaces them. That feels indefensible, and I do not defend it.
Well, she apparently renegotiated a whole big deal for herself, just not for her team. So she has no producers now. She kept like one or two. We'll get into all of it. Plus, you get Jake Tapper over at CNN trying to promote his new book saying that, it was this big cover up. They somehow like fooled us into thinking that Joe Biden was the greatest. Hey, buddy, you were part of the cover up, and I've got the tape to prove it. Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Trish Regan. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe because we got news, baby. We got news. Okay, Comey, that would be one James Comey, may have actually orchestrated some kind of honeypot to try and ensnare and entrap the now president of the United States, who was campaigning for the presidency as the Republican nominee back in 2015 and 2016. What we've learned is that actually they put a couple of agents. There was an FBI agent that they put into his inner circle. She's apparently still at the FBI. The other was somebody who's gotten promoted onto the CIA. And so they're trying to be very careful, I guess, at the FBI, even with Kosh there, to try and protect this woman's identity. CIA, same sort of thing. But I'm like, okay, so who was this? Because she was apparently part of the inner circle, which means I'm like, wait, was she on TV? Did I interview her? What was going on? Okay, this new whistleblower, actually, this came forward first, courtesy of the Washington Times. So I have their headline up here. New FBI whistleblower disclosures reveal agent who infiltrated Trump's campaign a decade ago. And you say, oh, well, it's a decade ago. Who cares? I'll tell you, I care. I sure as heck care, because if it happened then, it can happen again, and it can't happen at all right? If we're going to have a fair system in this country, you can't have rogue regimes running around trying to take down their opponents by infiltrating them with, come on. Honeypot traps? He's got Melania, all right? That's all I'll say. You should have been more clever than that. Anyway, according to the protected whistleblower disclosure, the female agent involved was trying to work as an undercover agent. There were two of them, and they were targeting the Trump team, and specifically, apparently, Donald Trump. Unbelievable. So now the FBI, led by Kash Patel, and our good friend Dan Bongino, who's just going to do a bang-up job no matter what the New York Times is trying to say about him. And believe me, they're saying all kinds of things, accusing him of not liking commies. You know what? I don't like commies either. Anyway, I just don't get it. New FBI leadership appointed by Mr. Trump is starting an investigation into the origins of the agency's plan a decade ago to gain access to Mr. Trump's orbit. And they were doing this with two female undercover honeypot agents. The off-the-books probe was revealed by an agency whistleblower in a protected disclosure to the House Judiciary Committee last year and first reported exclusively by the Times in October. And I can't believe that I missed that in October. But apparently one or more individuals who were FBI employees at the time, the incidents, they were in the position to know that this was going down. They have now provided information to the Senate Judiciary Committee, and they have protected disclosures that were reviewed by the Times. I'm like, oh, okay, wow. So here's the Fox News report on it earlier today. Let's take a quick listen.
Plan to infiltrate President Trump's first campaign by using two undercover agents in a so-called honeypot operation?
Incredible.
Todd Pyro joins us with details. Todd.
This is big. Under the leadership of new FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino, the Bureau has reportedly launched an investigation into the agency's plan to infiltrate President Trump's first campaign using two female undercover agents. The Washington Times reporting that the program was launched in 2015 by then FBI Director James Comey. The honeypot scheme was actually kept off the books, and according to a whistleblower, Comey's investigation was separate from Crossfire Hurricane. You, of course, know that as the FBI's operation that looked into allegations Trump's campaign colluded with Russia. A whistleblower disclosure says, quote, the case had no predicated foundation, so Comey personally directed the investigation without creating an official case file in Sentinel or any other FBI system. The FBI has multiple methods of protecting highly sensitive investigations, so Comey did not have a legitimate reason not to officially create an official investigation file or have a file number. FBI leaders are reportedly looking for those once undercover agents who are said to have infiltrated the Trump campaign at high levels. Back over to you.
This story is insane. Thank you so much, Todd. The whistleblower said that Comey personally directed it, and using two female undercover agents as honeypots. They say it usually refers to an undercover operative who feigns sexual or romantic interest to obtain information on a target. So were these honeypots targeting Donald Trump? Were they targeting people on his team? Were they women that we were seeing on air all the time traveling with him?
If this is true, he's a dirty cop. And this is the same thing that is alleged that they did the same thing to Martin Luther King Jr. as well and recorded him to use as leverage. So the FBI, which was supposed to have reformed if this report is true, apparently never reformed at all.
Yeah, J. Edgar Hoover moved. James Comey always said he was above it all.
I was just going to say that. J. Edgar Hoover move. Wow. Okay, so Comey, if this is true, Lawrence is right. He is a dirty cop. He's a bad dude. He went in there and ran an off-the-books operation trying to ensnare and entramp Donald Trump and others around him, I guess. I mean, this is bonkers. And you know, he's got to know this is all coming out. He's got to know. He was just on MSNBC in like May of 2024 saying like Donald Trump cannot get elected because if he does, he's going to go back after us all. And, you know, the whole FBI is going to just disintegrate. It's going to be a mess. It's like he knew this could be found out. Watch.
When you think about a second Trump administration, what do you think the implications would be for the FBI? Oh, serious, for the Justice Department and the FBI, because Trump is coming for those institutions. He knows their power, and I think he has regrets that he didn't work hard enough to corrupt them last time. So he's coming for them, and that's a danger for all Americans. He's going to put people in positions in those organizations. He didn't have all-stars the last time. He'll have the bottom of the barrel this time, but people who will want to do his will, and that should worry every American. This election matters. Because of a reason like that, people have to participate. You cannot sit on the sideline. I don't care how you feel about Joe Biden, you must vote for him because the consequences on the other side are too severe.
Oh my gosh. Right. I don't care if the guy can't get out of bed in the morning or can't even breathe anymore. You just got to vote for him because the consequences are that. The consequences are bad for you, buddy, if what is alleged is true. Because if these allegations are true, we get some problems. I mean, and by the way, don't forget what they did with the darn FISA warrant. Don't forget about that. I mean, they were tapping the phones of the Trump campaign, tapping into Trump Tower, because they got a FISA warrant for Carter Page based on fake stuff, based on a dossier that had been bought and paid for by Perkins Coie, which is the law firm that was working for Hillary Clinton's campaign, which went out and hired Fusion GPS, bunch of investigative reporters, which were really just fiction writers, who went out and got Christopher Steele, the ex-British spy, who used to work for the Moscow Bureau for the UK. Oh, and guess what? They came up with a whole concocted piece of garbage. I read it. It doesn't even read like an intelligence document. It reads like opposition research, okay? Bad stuff. And then they used that to go get the FISA warrant. But in this case, they didn't even have a record of anything. They weren't even getting any FISA warrants. They were just going out and allegedly doing what they thought they should do with an off-the-books effort to try to take down this man who they worried was going to become the president of the United States. Right? And don't forget, that was their worry because they had a system in place. I mean, they were doing very well. They had 8 years of Obama, and they really wanted to continue all that they had with none other than Hillary Clinton, who in and of herself is a whole other problem, right? I mean, you got the server stuff. That still hasn't been resolved. You got the CGI stuff, Clinton Global Initiative. One of the investigators of the CGI Global Initiative, he actually contacted me recently, and I learned a lot from him, but I'm telling you, a lot of questions there. He said it was never even properly registered as a charity. He's the guy who said in Haiti, for example, with all the millions and millions and millions of dollars that they were collecting, only 10% of it made its way to the people. So what was this, some kind of giant money laundering operation? I mean, hey, Hunter Biden was small potatoes compared to what the Clintons were doing. He was out there entertaining all over the world and developing market nations where they have very loosey-goosey ethic rules, and she's out there as Secretary of State. What kind of quid pro quo was going on? We need to investigate that. And then we need to investigate Russia. Okay? Because what you guys may have done is bad, but this is pretty astonishing. The honeypot scandal. I'll tell you, you know that this guy was up to no good, Comey, because, well, you can go back and you can look at what they just did to Mike Flynn, right? I'm going to get to that. But one of the things that I heard Ashley mention was, oh my gosh, how big, do we know these women? Like, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, were they on air? Did we ever interface with them? I mean, they were prominent members apparently of that team. And then they got sent back into the FBI. One got promoted to the CIA. Look, these honeypot things, they've been around forever, okay? Like that is unfortunately often how foreign espionage works. You know who knows that pretty well? Representative Eric Swalwell out of California. Remember Fang Fang, his little girlfriend, who suddenly disappeared when the FBI confronted him?
So, Congressman, you referred to Elon Musk as a fascist at some point and alluded to him being a national security threat. Do you see that more of a national security threat, you sleeping with a Chinese spy, than transparency in the federal government?
Okay. Eric didn't like those questions. He ignored all of them. But the point being, the Chinese know how to do it, right? They were doing exactly that. I would say this. Comey so desperately did not want Trump elected either time, whether it was back in 2016 or whether it was 2020 or whether it was 2024. In fact, he went on to Jen Psaki, otherwise known as Peppermint Patty, you know, the one that used to have the job lying for Joe Biden in his administration. She now has a big job on MSNBC. In fact, I think she's going to be replacing one Joy Reid. Anyway, Peppermint Patty had him on her show, and James Comey was going on and on about how great it would be to have Donald Trump in a double-wide trailer. They wanted him in jail. Remember that, okay? They wanted him in jail.
We just put him in a double-wide somewhere out near the fence, out in the grass. And he would eat there, he'd shower there, he'd exercise there, he'd be away, as Danya Perry said, from general population, but it's obviously doable.
Well, guess what, buddy? I got news for you. He is now the president of the United States, and yeah, his FBI is looking into everything that you did. So you might want to lawyer up. Oh, yeah. Lawyer up. It's something that actually, when Donald Trump and his administration first went into action, they didn't do so much of. No, they actually were quite honest brokers in the beginning, and they assumed that people would like be there to do the right thing. And that's exactly what General Flynn, Mike Flynn, thought. So James Comey was able to somehow take advantage of that. And, you know, don't forget, Flynn went down for apparently lying to the FBI. He was totally caught off guard. They were asking him what he did and God knows when. And apparently he misspoke, which they then said was a lie. And then he wound up, you know, out of commission. And James Comey admitted this in like something that he did with another MSNBC person. Oh gosh, they really are an arm of the DNC, are they not? An MSNBC anchor is asking him, how on earth did this happen? Like, that you were able to just send a couple of agents in to interview Mike Flynn in those early days. And he laughs about the naivete of one Mike Flynn and the entire Trump administration. Because you see, the team thought that everybody was on the same team. They didn't realize what Comey and others were really up to. Listen to this exchange. It's remarkable.
It's hard to imagine two FBI agents ending up in the sit room. How did that happen?
I sent them. Something I probably wouldn't have done or maybe gotten away with in a more organized investigation, a more organized administration. In the George W. Bush administration, for example, or the Obama administration, the protocol, two men that all of us have perhaps increased appreciation for over the last 2 years. And in both of those administrations, there was process. And so if the FBI wanted to send agents into the White House itself to interview a senior official, you would work through the White House counsel, and there'd be discussions and approvals and who would be there. And I thought, it's early enough, let's just send a couple guys over. And so we placed a call to Flynn, said, hey, we're sending a couple guys over. Hope you'll talk to them. He said, sure. Nobody else was there. They interviewed him in a conference room at the White House Situation Room, and he lied to them. And that's what he's now pled guilty to.
What did he think they were coming over there for?
I don't think he knew. No, we didn't tell him. Just said, we've got sending over a couple of agents. I want to ask you some questions. I didn't have this conversation, my deputy director did, but hope you got a few minutes, you can sit down and talk to them. And he said, sure.
What a guy. All right, so he played upon the patriotism and naivete of the team that had come in. I have a feeling they were doing all kinds of funny things. And I have a feeling it's all going to come out. And it's not just James Comey. It's not just Hillary Clinton. It's also Adam Schiff. And I know this, one, because I know Dan, and he's heading to the FBI, and this has been a passion of his. And, well, not just because I know that, but also because he said it recently on a show.
Is Adam Schiff so worried? Folks, I strongly encourage you to go back and take another look today at the Russia collusion hoax. I know it's a story that's old and a lot of people want to move on. I'm going to be straight with you. I don't want to move on. We had the FBI, in conjunction with the Department of Justice, officials in Congress, foreign governments, and intel people, fabricate a story, invent a story that could have caused and done serious long-term harm to international relations with a nuclear-powered foe. It's kind of a big freaking deal. I'm not letting it go. And you listen to me. This is going to be very important in the coming days. I'm not letting this go. I want to find out what happened because it can never happen again. Not to a Democrat, not to a Republican, not to a Libertarian, not to any United States citizen. You do not get to alter or try to change the course of electoral politics by fabricating a story, hijacking the justice system then to give the patina of truth to a fake story. You don't get to do that. Why do I bring that up now? Because who is the ringmaster of that circus? Yes, Adam Schiff. And no, I'm not letting it go.
Yeah. Well, neither is Cash. And you guys are both there together now, so I know you're not going to let it go. And this is good for America. Listen, James Comey and all his worry.
When you think about a second Trump administration, what do you think the implications would be for the FBI?
Oh, serious. For the Justice Department and the FBI, because Trump is coming for those institutions.
As he should.
He knows their power, and I think he has regrets that he didn't work hard enough to corrupt them last time. So he's coming
Look what you
for
were
them,
doing.
and that's a danger for all Americans. He's going to put people in positions in those organizations. He didn't have all-stars the last time. He'll have the bottom of the barrel this time.
He's putting people in there that know the way the world works, okay? So unlike Flynn, who's just going to let you guys waltz in and do things. No. This is a totally different team. And this time, Trump's on offense. Full-on offense. And it is fantastic. Did you see him today in the Oval Office just moments ago? I'm going to play this clip for you because guess what? He went nuclear on Jack Smith. Totally nuclear on Jack Smith. And then some reporter was like, well, aren't you being unfair? And wait till you hear his response. First, quick shout out for one of our great sponsors. They help us bring this show to you every day for free. The Trish Regan Show is sponsored in part by American Heart for Gold. You can go to trishlovesgold.com. Trish Loves Gold. It has kind of a nice ring to it. Get up to $15,000 in free silver for qualifying offers. Just text my name, Trish, Trish, to 65532. We know there's a lot of reasons to like gold. Heck, I just hope it's all there, right? When they do this gold audit, Elon Musk saying, is it going to be all there? Trump saying the same. They haven't audited this thing, Fort Knox, that is, in 50 years. So, that's probably, maybe I should buy more gold right now because just in case they come up short, that the price is going to go up. Anyway, gold is a part of my portfolio. It's an inflation hedge for me. It's also like a doomsday hedge for me. So I am a big believer in it. And I think every portfolio should have some. So check it out. Go to trishlovesgold.com or text Trish to 65532. But wow, guys, Donald Trump coming out today and making it very, very clear he has no patience and no sympathy for one Jack Smith and the other lawyers working with him. Listen to this.
Mr. President, what do you say to people who worry that targeting an individual firm or individuals who aren't Jack Smith for his actions?
I've been targeted for 4 years, longer than that. So you don't tell me about targeting. I was the target of corrupt politicians for 4 years, and then 4 years after that. So don't talk to me about targeting.
Don't even try it, right? Media's flipping out over Bongino at the FBI. They're flipping out about Cash at the FBI, and they're flipping out that one Donald Trump decided to revoke the clearances for Jack Smith. But it's completely appropriate when you think of all that happened. I mean, look at how he was targeted. Look at how and Larry, thank you. I'm going to get to your comment. I appreciate your generosity. I really have the most wonderful team here following us here every day. We're up over 600,000 subs. It's incredible. But just think about how Donald Trump is like, wait a second. You want me to have sympathy? Remember, he took away Fauci's clearances, and he took away Fauci's security detail because he's like, I don't think he deserves any of it. And you want to talk to me about who has been hunted and who has been a victim? I'm not about to hear it. Because, don't forget what he went through with this chicko.
He's called me venomous. We will fight back to your attempt to bring Trumpism to New York City. He's called me disgraceful. Of the fact that they stole the Supreme Court seat. An illegitimate president and an illegitimate member of the United States Supreme Court. He's called me radical. Listen, yes. We know he's crazy. Yes. We know he doesn't have a sound mind. Yes. We know he's out of control. Yes. We know he's losing it. Yes. We know his days are numbered and we will come together. He's called me a racist. We've got to stand up to an administration which is too male, too pale, and too stale. Too male, too pale, and too stale. Too male.
Okay. So the media is upset and the media is worried that Donald Trump is now in a position to say, go after some of his foes. He's revoking security clearances for Jack Smith and all the lawyers that worked with Jack Smith. He's revoked clearances for none other than Leticia James. They're worried he's going to go after Leticia James. But I'm sitting here going, but doesn't he kind of have to, guys? Did you see that? How is that ever appropriate in any way? And don't forget, she was campaigning on this. She was raising money about how she was going to go after him. And then she wanted to bankrupt him. She wanted to march into Trump Tower and take it all over.
4 days after a judge ordered Donald Trump to pay $355 million for a decade of fraud, New York Attorney General Leticia James says she's prepared to do everything she can to make sure the former president pays his fine, including, she told us, seizing the buildings that bear his name.
If he does not have funds to pay off the judgment, then we will seek, judgment enforcement mechanisms in court, and we will ask the judge to seize his assets.
Yeah, and that's what she wanted to do. Yeah, she wanted to bankrupt the guy. So before you know it, the judge is saying, okay, we want nearly $500 million from you, Donald Trump. You don't think that it is appropriate for him to go back and say, what did you do? I do. I think it's absolutely appropriate. I think he has to. I think for the sake of the country, because you can't have people like this. I mean, this was like a J. Edgar Hoover move, right, on multiple levels. And then the question becomes, what was the coordination between, say, Merrick Garland and James Comey, right? And also the Leticia Jameses of the world, Merrick Garland most recently, and a Leticia James and a Fannie Willis and a Alvin Bragg, right? What was that coordination? And what was the coordination with the media as well that was getting paid oodles of money? I mean, hey, they have to do all these layoffs now because apparently USAID is not paying its bills anymore to the media. Elon Musk got in there and he's had a thing or two to say about that. It's good. You know what? We need to actually watch our budget. We need to actually watch every single penny. Speaking of pennies and watching your money, do check out my own company, 76 Research. This is my financial research firm that I started really for you guys. I mean, I've had so many people over the years, I've been a financial reporter my whole career, come up to me and say, like, how do I get started? What do I do? What do I buy? And I thought, you know what, if I can actually help people, in addition to hopefully keeping you informed, right, as we're staying on the front lines of history, as I like to say here on this show. In addition to that, if there's a way to help you cut through the noise and cut through the quote unquote BS and the spin that's out there, I want to be able to help you do that. So 76 Research was started for that reason. Use code word dollar, and then you get the 76 report for the first 2 months at just $1. You can cancel anytime. Just $1 a month. Go look at some of the portfolios we have as well, because we've got a lot of different, 3, and we've got more on the way. If you get the Founders Club package, you get every single portfolio. I realize you can't even see all these wonderful numbers here. You just see all of our stocks have done very, very well. And so I encourage you to go take a look at that, 76research.com. If nothing else, just sign up for the 76 report. Use code word dollar, because you know what? There's still going to be a lot of opportunity there. I'm telling you, he's doing some really great, really innovative stuff. Like, what about this golden ticket thing? Do you see what he's saying? Hey, you want to come and be a green ticket, have a green card here in America? Sure. It'll cost you a lot, but you add those numbers up. We're going to do more on that tomorrow, because the numbers actually, that's like some good math. We could actually plug a few holes that way. Donald Trump revoking the security clearance, though, again, of Jack Smith, the law firms. I mean, it's important because you think about what went down, right? What went down? He really articulated this quite brilliantly today. It was actually a funny moment in the White House just moments ago. I want to share it with you.
The weaponization of our system by law firms, even pro bono work they're doing just in order to clog up government, stop government. And nobody knows about it more than me. And hopefully that'll never happen again.
So that Covington and Burlington, is that?
Covington and Burlington.
Mr. President, may I ask you a question about Europe? So long term, do you plan to maintain the number of U.S. troop stations?
Wait, I just want to savor this one, please.
It's funny. Did you hear that?
About Europe?
He's like, no. Hang on. This is a special moment. I am signing an executive order to suspend the security clearances for the law firm employees who worked for Jack Smith to weaponize the U.S. government against me. So she tries to change the subject to Europe, and he's like, no. Let me enjoy this, please.
Long term, do you plan to maintain the number of U.S. troop
Wait,
stations?
I just want to savor this one, please. Who would like this pen? Why don't you send it to Jack Smith? A deranged person.
Whoa. Yeah.
So what do you say to people who worry that targeting an individual firm or individuals who aren't Jack Smith?
Excuse me. I've been targeted for 4 years, longer than that. So you don't tell me about targeting. I was the target of corrupt politicians for 4 years, and then 4 years after that. So don't talk to me about targeting.
Right? He was. And that has to change, because I'm telling you, he may have ideas that are different than the deep state, but in a world where we're supposed to recognize and appreciate diversity, right? You'd think that would be okay. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard, she didn't do the song and dance that the State Department wanted her to do, and suddenly the next thing you know, I mean, this is a former Democrat, right? You get Hillary Clinton's campaign accusing her of being a Russian agent. Everybody's a Russian agent. Everybody's Russia. I mean, I'm not over this. I'm really not. I know Jimmy Carter has passed away, but let's not forget, he started it. Well, I think Hillary Clinton started it, and James Comey started it, and Adam Schiff started it. But he gave them the excuse when he said Donald Trump is not a legitimate president, and then they took the ball and they ran with it.
Trump didn't actually win the election in 2016. He lost the election, and he was put in office because the Russians interfered.
Trump knows he's an illegitimate president.
The president-elect, although legally elected, is not legitimate.
I don't see this president-elect as a legitimate president.
You said you believe that Russia's interference altered the outcome of the election.
I do. We have a president who, if in fact it is proven, has been assisted by the Russians and may in fact not be a legitimate president.
The one thing that Trump is fearful of when it comes to his being president is that finally we will see how illegitimate his victory actually was.
Can I just say something here? Steve Frischman, good to see you back here on the show. Thank you for your generosity. Can I just say something? I mean, they're actually the ones that were the original election deniers. Trump's in all the trouble over 2020. It's like, but wait a second, that's all they did, right? For 4 straight years. It was unbelievable. So I think some things have to come out, and I think that we need to get all the intelligence we can about this. It is really critical that we get all the intelligence surrounding just exactly what went down, who did what, when they did it. Apparently over at CNN, they don't think so. At CNN, they actually think that it's a bigger risk to the system because they think that, by pushing these agents to actually come clean on stuff, that you're actually going to risk creating a rogue group of CIA employees that are going to start working for the other side. Really? Okay, why are they in the CIA then to begin with? I'm just saying. I mean, if they are so unpatriotic that we have to worry about them going to work for China or Russia or Iran, then I think we have an even bigger problem than we thought. And I think it's actually pretty important that we clean them out now. I mean, this has been a concern all along, right? That a lot of these people really have been working for the other team. They pretend like they're working for the US of A, but actually they have some deep-rooted negativity, I should say, towards the United States. And that negativity is against anything sort of rah-rah USA, which is why we need the redistribution of wealth. It's why, they want to make sure that Iran gets the nuclear weapon. I mean, there's an anti-Israel component to this. It's all actually quite concerning. And if you're worried about a bunch of agents going and joining the other side, then you know what? I think we need to clean house even faster than you thought because they shouldn't have any security clearances. Anna Paulina Luna, she's leading the task force that's going to get all this information out. I mean, we're talking all of it, like the Epstein stuff, the JFK stuff, the MLK stuff. I mean, we're going to get all of it, right? And hopefully some Clinton stuff. Anyway, she's saying, look, this is actually pretty bad because the corruption's being exposed right now. And actually, this corruption is in fact treason. Treason. And then you got this guy, Chuck Schumer, Chucky baby, this senator from New York, who never saw a camera he didn't want to be on. And he goes on TV and he's making threats now. I mean, these are full-on threats, you guys. Listen.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were motivated?
I don't know, but from what I am told, they are very upset with how he has treated them and talked about them. And we need the intelligence community. We don't know what's going on. Look at the Russian hacking. Without the intelligence community, we wouldn't have discovered it.
Do you think he has an agenda to try to dismantle parts of the intelligence community? I mean, this form of taunting hostility.
Whether you're a super liberal Democrat or a very conservative Republican, you should be against dismantling the intelligence community.
Okay. Except, of course, if you have an intelligence community that CNN says is willing to just walk the other way and go work for the bad guys. In that case, I might actually want to dismantle that intelligence community sooner rather than later. I'm going to join in with Don Bacco, who's watching right now, because I just saw him send this out. He's like, oh my gosh, we have 3,500 people watching, but we have only 874 likes. So do what you can, like the video, subscribe, hit the alert so that you know when I'm live. I would love to be live at a very specific time every day. But, the news just keeps coming and we don't have 40 people like I used to have working on this, just a couple of us. So I want to make sure I put the best show on for you every single day, which means I'm on generally sometime between 1 and, oh gosh, what time is it now? 7. All right, that's a big window. So you need to hit the bell. Don Bacco, thank you. Yes, make sure you hit a like, you guys. Leave a comment. I want to know, what do you think? I mean, are you worried about traitors amongst us? I think it's a fair concern. I think that, these people, if they're willing to jump ship, it's treason. It's treason. It absolutely is treason, for sure. Balance of nature. I am getting so many compliments on the stress today. Thank you for that. I am also getting compliments on my voice coming back. So yes, I am healing. I appreciated all your messages about the hot tea and the zinc. You guys had some good in vitamin C, and I did all that, and I continued to take some more of my Balance of Nature, which is another one of our show sponsors. So we thank them for their sponsorship, and I thank them for my fruits and veggies that actually I think have helped me quite a bit, because normally like I'd lose my voice for a good long time, and I'm back. I'm not totally back, right? But I'm back, and I do credit taking those daily vitamins. So Balance of Nature is the company. You can get 35% off if you use my name, code word Trish. Just go to balanceofnature.com today. You can call them as well. We will put the phone number in the show notes. But the easiest thing, of course, because we're all online, is to just go to balanceofnature.com. Type in code word Trish, get the 35% off, get the free shipping that comes with it, and the guaranteed money back guarantee, because it's important to take care of yourself. I'll tell you, speaking of taking care of yourself, well, I always say this, you have to take care of yourself on the financial front. And this is why I created 76 Research. For those of you that haven't gone, I hate to sound like a broken record, and I know I mention it every day, but it's because it's so important to me that you take care of you. So go to 76research.com, use code word dollar, get that 76 report for the first 2 months for just $1. You can cancel anytime. So guys, you're only at $1, right? If you don't like it. But listen, there's a lot of activity going on, and there's a lot of opportunity, I believe, going on. So take a look at that. We've got Jake Tapper coming out with a new book. Speaking of, the media and their biases, Jake Tapper's taking care of Jake Tapper, I'd say. Yeah. He doesn't need to invest in the markets, because he's just going to keep churning out books that somebody else writes, but he puts his name on. Really. So Jake Tapper has a new book, and it's sort of ironic because he was part of the problem, of course. It's called Original Sin. Oh gosh, I have to lean in to see this one. President Biden's decline, its cover-up, and his disastrous choice to run again. Gee. Wow, Jake. That's a headline. That's surprise. I think I said, actually, when he first came to office, that would be one Joe Biden. If you go back and look at some of my earlier shows, we didn't start doing this show for officially everyday live until about 1.5 years ago, but I intermittently would come on and I'd be like, why is he running again? Why is he planning on, they need to primary him as soon as they possibly can. So this is not really earth-shattering, but you know what is important to know? The guy who's writing this book, the anchor, Jake Tapper, who's trying to turn a pretty little penny, is reinventing history, because he is one of the very people that committed the original sin by trying to keep Biden in power as long as he could. I remember anytime anybody would say anything about Biden's health, Jake would jump all over them. Same thing happened over on MSNBC and PBS and all these places. I mean, if these people would just open their eyes and maybe listen to a show like mine, where you can actually get the truth, and I just call it like I see it, you might have had a clue he didn't have a shot at winning. And actually, yes, his health was quite poor and quite bad, but no, they ignored it. They deliberately, it was like some weird Emperor has no clothes moment. It's like, Joe's struggling, but you guys won't admit it. Buzz Light, thank you so much. Okay, here's Jake.
How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
First and foremost, I had no idea that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter. I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable
You are
to watch somebody on stage search for
that's so amazing. It's so amazing to me that
try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
Well, when you're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you were mocking his stutter. Yeah, I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline. I would think that somebody in the Trump family would be more sensitive to people who do not have medical licenses diagnosing politicians from afar. Plenty of people have diagnosed your father from afar, and I'm sure it offends you. Your father-in-law from afar. I'm sure it offends you. You don't have any standing to say.
I'm not diagnosing him. What I'm saying, Jake,
you just talked
is
about
that
a cognitive
we can
decline.
See that Joe Biden
I have one last
struggling
question for you, Laura. You can't
times on stage, and it's very concerning to a lot of people that this could be the leader of the free world.
Okay.
That is all I'm saying. I genuinely feel
Laura
sorry
Trump.
for Joe Biden.
I appreciate it. I'm sure.
And now he's writing the book on how it was such a sin that everybody pretended he was A-okay. Well, Jake, you were part of the sin, okay? You're part of the problem. A big part of the problem. It's like the Democrat Party has, and Deep State has people over at CNN on speed dial and people over at MSNBC on speed dial. Remember Joe Scarborough's big speech? This is the best Biden ever, the best Biden I've ever seen. Well, you guys actually ultimately really hurt yourselves. I mean, I don't know what you're going to do without the USAID money going to Reuters. The 50 million USAID, Health and Human Services was in there too, going to the New York Times. You're gonna have some tough times ahead. Politico. I mean, if you don't have your $8.2 million worth of Politico Pro subscriptions at $10K a pop, what's going to happen to Politico? I think we know. I mean, NPR, PBS, I've said all along, at least they have the decency to tell us that they're in part supported by taxpayer dollars, but these other rags, they never told us. It's come out that the BBC was getting 8% of its income from none other than us, taxpayers here in the United States of America. I think we're going to save a lot of money, a whole lot of money between that and this green card thing that they're coming up with. I mean, this is going to be very interesting. He wants business owners here. He wants people that want to grow our economy, right? Stan Liberty, good to have you in the house. I'm seeing a lot of new names, I think, because I'm on at a different time. Don Bacca wants to make sure that you guys are definitely liking this. So give it a thumbs up. I'm laughing. I know, poor Biden. I know Stan Liberty, you know, he probably will be in diapers soon. I don't know. The poor guy. I really felt like it was like elder abuse. Didn't you get that sense towards the end in the way Jill Biden was clinging? Well, you know why? Because of Hunter. Because don't forget, whatever was going on there between Hillary Clinton and CGI, like they had the apparatus around them to probably cover a whole lot of that up. Hunter didn't have that. Hunter was kind of sloppy. And Hunter never registered as a foreign agent, a foreign lobbyist. So, you know, it's a good thing Daddy pardoned him. I would say this, though. He pardoned him for criminal offenses, which means states can still go after him civilly. And they need to. And so it's great that Dan's over there. Cash and Dan together are going to make a great team. And they are hitting the ground running. Don't forget, like, both those guys have been on the sidelines. Well, Dan was never part of the administration. Cash had been, in fact, very involved in the intel community and trying to, you know, figure out just exactly what was going into the Mueller report, et cetera. So he is steeped in all of this. He knows about a lot of this. And so now you just have to put the whole plan into place. And I'm telling you, it's all coming out. And for the Leticia Jameses of the world, well, you know what? Pam's suing you.
Sanctuary cities, protecting Americans. I sued the state of Illinois. I sued the governor. And I said, if you don't stop, you're next. New York kept going. They were belligerent, sued New York, sued the governor. Not going to stop. So, you know, you're going to be next if you're not watching what we're doing. And we will be successful. And we will make America safe again.
Good. Despite the protests from the mainstream media, which you wonder how much more we're going to hear of. Rachel Maddow. She's like their superstar, which just says so many things on so many different levels, right? Over on MSNBC. I mean, when Rachel Maddow is your superstar. Oh, boy. Somebody sent me something. I don't even know if it's appropriate for me to share this, but oh, what the heck? What the heck? Somebody sent me something about, wow, you know, Rachel Maddow, you know, she's going to be the last man standing. At MSNBC, you got it right? Anyway, sometimes I get her confused with that little clone. You know, the other one that looks just like her, but maybe a man. All right, MSNBC. I shouldn't do a show at 7:30 at night, right? I'm having too much fun. MSNBC is firing all her producers. They're getting rid of them, and it's kind of amazing because she negotiated this new deal for herself. She had to take a $5 million pay cut, down from 30 to 25 mil, but she certainly wasn't looking out for her producers. I'm like, hey, aren't you supposed to be like a socialist lady? Like, don't you care about your team at all? No, apparently not. So today this news came out. But, you know, she went on television last night and like tried to give this big, you know, whatever song and dance about how worried she is about her friend Joy Reid and how wonderful Joy Reid is and how it really seems like racism to her that they fired her along with some others. Listen.
I'll tell you, it is also unnerving to see that on a network where we've got two non-white hosts in primetime, both of our non-white hosts in primetime are losing their shows, as is Katie Fang on the weekend. And that feels worse than bad, no matter who replaces them. That feels indefensible, and I do not defend it.
Okay. I'm glad to know that. Austin, thank you. Saying how much he loves the channel. Thank you for what I do. I appreciate that. I want to say I appreciate you guys being here because this was all new territory to me on YouTube. I mean that. Like when I started doing this, I'm like, why am I doing this? How do I do this? How do I reach my viewers? And we've got some people that have been here from the beginning, like Leslie. Thank you. Thank you for always being here in peace of my mind. And you know, Dawn, of course, and David, and Lorenzo, and Ian Barber. Ian, we do have to do the member chat. I want to do that. I have to do it on a day when we don't necessarily have a live because of the way the algorithm works, but maybe we should plan on the weekend, maybe Saturday. Okay, we'll pencil that in as a date. I do have a members only section and Ian's part of that. And so he's been suggesting that we do that and I'd like to. But I mean this when I say this, that this has been such an enormously gratifying experience for me, right? To be here on YouTube and able to reach all of you because this audience just keeps growing and growing and growing. I have more people watching this show than I ever did on Fox Business, which is amazing to me. And it's funny because my kids were like, you know, Mom, we hated to tell you, you know, back when you were on Fox and everything, you know, we thought that was nice and everything, but we're happy that you made it. And I'm like, what do you mean? Well, you're on YouTube now. And I'm like, guys, and they're like, no, like, and in all seriousness, I kid you not, they earnestly meant that and mean that because to them, this is all that exists. They don't understand those legacy media networks, the streaming networks. I mean, this was not a joke. They were fully dead on serious. And so for them, they know that if they're going to consume anything, it's over here on YouTube. And so I was blown away by that because, you know, I've had a big career as a network news correspondent, this, that, and the other. It's nothing to them. They like don't even know what that is. They're like, yeah, my mom's on YouTube. So anyway, it's been meaningful that you guys come here because this has been organic growth and we just grow and grow and grow thanks to you guys getting the word out. And I know so many of you have told your friends. Trish is over here. She has a live show. Thank you. Keep doing that. But Rachel Maddow is back on that lame-o network on the lame mainstream media. And apparently they're just letting her whole team go. She was able to retain, I guess, her top executive producer and like maybe a couple of other senior producers, but all of the staffers on her show, they just cleaned house. And so it tells you they're not going to have the money to operate really anymore. This is a dying business, this network news stuff, this cable news stuff. I remember growing up, I thought, wouldn't that be great to be on network news? And I got to be on network news and I was on CBS Evening News and I used to go on as an expert, a business expert on ABC World News Tonight. I was on NBC Nightly News. And the truth is, I soon figured out that it was all in cable. What I didn't understand was what was happening over here in the streaming universe. I didn't understand this until I said, you know what? I really have an opinion. I don't want to go back to work for another network. Let me just try this. And with, you know, some help from some of my friends, I talked to the guys that had started the Daily Wire, and they were like, yeah, you know, you can do this. There's a real audience there. This is meaningful. And I thought, I'll give it a shot. And it's thanks to you guys and your support and your generosity and your tenaciousness because you always come back and you spread the word and you leave comments and you give likes and all of this. It's because of that here I am a year and a half later We just celebrated 600,000 subs on the channel, and I'm getting more viewers than I ever got at Fox or CNBC or Bloomberg, probably all combined. So it's exciting and it's great. And you know the best part? I don't have to have any bosses breathing down my back saying you can say this, you can't say that. I mean, think about it. You remember what I said. It got me in so much trouble back in March 2020 when I went off and said, you know what? This coronavirus thing, they're going to use it to their advantage. The Democrats are going to take this thing hostage. The market's way overreacting. We shouldn't be off 2,000 points. This is out of control. We're shutting down the country because of this. That got me in a little bit of trouble, shall we say. But you know what? It all worked out for the best, did it not? Because now I don't have to have anybody reading my scripts. In fact, I don't even have any scripts. Like, it's just all up here. And that is a whole better thing. And so many of you have said, you know what, Trish, I've watched you for years. I remember when you were at CNBC. I remember this. I remember that. And you've said, I really feel like I know you now. And that, to me, is a tremendous compliment, because I think this medium gives us all an opportunity for us to know, well, certainly for you to know me and for me to get to know you guys a little bit. And it will change in time. I mean, there'll be a point in time in the future when, you know, you're not just saying things in the chat, but you're actually maybe participating in this in much more of a three-dimensional way. And that's to get you back to investing, right, in 76 Research, because I'm really a big believer in Web 3.0 and all the AI I'm kind of scared of it too, but I do think that that's going to be a huge, huge boon for America. And it's something we talk about at 76 Research for sure. But this has been enormously rewarding. And you know what? We thank, again, our sponsors like American Heart for Gold. If you're thinking about investing in gold, these are the guys to go to. Go check them out. Go to trishlovesgold.com or text Trish to 65532. Even if you're not going to buy gold, just get the research, because they've got some good research. So think about doing that. It helps the show, and you hopefully are helping yourself in the process. And just let me say again, you know, it is wonderful to have such a committed group. If you haven't subscribed, look at that little subscribe button over there. Do you see that? Oh, what happened? There we go. I think there's going to be major, major, major changes ahead. And I think that, yes, the Intel community may get blown out in some big, big ways. But you know what? If you're worried about people in the Intel community right now going to work for the other side, I'd tell you this. You don't have much of a community. And things got to change. I want to know what the honeypot trap was. I want to know what the Russia thing was really about. I want to know just exactly how Hillary Clinton managed CGI, who else benefited, what this USAID thing was really and truly about, what the media was getting out of it. I could never figure out, like, why are they so desperate to have Biden, who can barely stand, win? And now we know. Money. All about money. Donald Trump wants to strengthen America by strengthening the middle class. He wants to be able to point to those GDP numbers and say, hey, take a look at that. But not just the GDP numbers. He wants to be able to point to income numbers. And we're talking income adjusted for inflation, because income adjusted for inflation, which the New York Times, when Biden was in power, would never write about, it's the only number you should care about, because who cares if income's going way up if you can't afford anything? He wants income adjusted for inflation to go up and away for the middle class. It's what happened prior to March 2020 when they shut down the economy. We saw income going up for middle-class Americans at the highest level it had ever been in 50 years. That's making America great again. Because when you have a strong middle class, you have a strong country. When you have a middle class that believes in America and loves this country, you have a stronger country. When you have a team of people that just want to hate on this nation, I'm sorry, like, you really think you're going to be able to go and do all these wars that you want to do? We don't want to be in any war, okay? By the way, and Trump doesn't want to be in any war, and Ukraine, thankfully, is coming to an end. But I'm just saying, when push comes to shove, you really think you're going to get people to want to put their lives on the line for a country that they don't even believe in, that they don't respect, that they don't love? Forget about it. All you have is the unity of being American. Love that. Appreciate it and nurture it. And then you have a home run. And I'm hoping Donald Trump's there. And then we have a lot more Republicans in the wings, ready, willing, and able to take this forward. It's going to be 4 years. It's going to be 8 years. It's going to be 12 years. It's going to be 16 years. The Democrats have completely lost the story. And it's all going to come out in a pretty great way. We got good stuff ahead. Oh gosh, it's only Wednesday. Thank you for being here, you guys. Thank you for all you do. I will see you back here live tomorrow. Don't forget to hit the bell and the like.